bunker and studio. You're tuning in to the CyberHub Podcast. And now for your host and CISO, James Azar.
Hey folks, good morning. James Azar here with the CyberHub Podcast for your Practitioner Brief. I hope you liked our new intro. Yes, we're always upgrading, always trying to get you more engaging ways and more cool intros and all kinds of cool stuff. So welcome to our Practitioner Brief for Monday, October 26th. We're 8 days away from the U.S. presidential election, which means there's a lot to talk about, from cybersecurity to election security. This week will be every single day. We'll touch on one aspect of election security. I know many of you may have already voted in early voting. However, if you haven't yet, this is just for you. Before we get started, though, make sure you subscribe now for our podcast. If you're watching us on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, turn on the bell notifications. If you're listening on your favorite podcast listening platform, make sure to subscribe. Our Practitioner Brief can be available with all the links, all its majesty, everything you want on our website at cyberhubpodcast.com, so make sure to go there. And without further ado, let's get into today's headline, where Emotet malware now wants you to upgrade Microsoft Word. Kashmirblack botnet is behind attacks on CMS like WordPress, Joomla, Drupal, and others. And Louisiana calls out the National Guard to fight a ransomware surge in the state. So let's start off with the Emotet malware. Emotet switched to a new template this week that pretends to be a Microsoft Office message stating that Microsoft Word needs to be updated to add a new feature. Emotet is a malware infection. As many of you know, once the malware is installed, Emotet will use the computer to send spam emails and ultimately install other malware that could lead to a ransomware attack on the victim's network. Emotet spam campaigns use a variety of lures to trick recipients into opening attachment, like pretending to be invoices, shipping notices, resume, purchase orders, COVID-19 information, or even election information, as recently has seen. The attachment is a .doc file, a Word document. When opened, it'll ask you to enable content on the document. At that point, it enables macros, which allows for a payload to be downloaded on the device, and then from there, Emotet does what it does best. Again, Emotet keeps upgrading. I know that on my end, we've blocked a ton of Emotet stuff on our Office 365. I've simply upgraded our controls within the Office 365 Security Center. That tends to take care of it. But again, employee awareness, the idea that it's a doc is really also important to understand. That's a different TTP than previously. They typically use other attachments, so it's a good thing to kind of keep in the back of your mind as we start off this week. It's a new attack vector. Kashmirblack botnet is behind attacks on CMSs like WordPress, Joomla, Drupal, and others. A highly sophisticated botnet is believed to have infected hundreds of thousands of websites by attacking their underlying content management systems. Named Kashmirblack, the botnet started operating in November of last year. Security researchers from Impreva, who analyzed the botnet last week in a two-part series, said the botnet's primary purpose appears to be to infect websites and then use their servers for cryptocurrency mining, redirecting a site's legitimate traffic to spam pages, and to a lesser degree showing web defacement. The biggest change occurred in May of this year when the botnet increased both its command and control infrastructure and also its exploit arsenal. Nowadays, Kashmirblack is managed by one CNC server and uses more than 60 mostly innocent surrogate servers as part of its infrastructure. Kashmirblack expands by scanning the internet for sites using outdated software and then using exploits for known vulnerabilities to infect the site and its underlying server. Since November 2019, Impreva says it has seen the botnet abuse 16 different vulnerabilities from PHP, jQuery, Joomla, Magento, WordPress, several different WordPress. All of those are available on our website at cyberhubpodcast.com. Finally, we'll get into our election story for today, where Louisiana calls out National Guard to fight a ransomware surge. The National Guard has been called in to help stop a series of government-focused ransomware attacks in Louisiana, according to our report. Local government offices across the Pelican State have been besieged by ransomware strikes, according to several reports on Reuters. with evidence suggesting a sophisticated hacking group was involved. The paper reported that a forensic investigation into attack unearthed a rat buried in affected networks, which is often the calling card of a APT group known to be an arm of the North Korean government. That said, the Kim Jong rat backdoor has been its source code partially leaked, which could allow cyber attackers to copy it, thus casting doubt on the attribution. The Emotet Trojan was also found in victim networks, which can load either malware or self-propagate through the networks. That's according to CISA, that issued a warning about that earlier this month. Sources said the attacks were successful in locking up networks in several government offices in northern Louisiana after staffs were socially engineered via email into opening attachments, again, and triggering the infection chain. Further, attackers took over email accounts to send malware to other employees under the guise of legitimate communication. However, the cyber attack was stopped in its early stages, according to reports from Reuters. The Louisiana National Guard was deployed by the governor when he declared a statewide emergency. And this isn't the first time Louisiana uses the National Guard to handle cyber attacks. In fact, earlier this year and last year, Louisiana twice deployed the National Guard to assist with resources. It seems like that's beginning to be a natural space for the National Guard in helping states deal with local infestation. We've also, with local infections, we're also seeing another report of a Hall County here in Georgia, in my home state of Georgia, where its voter registration database was actually locked up in a ransomware attack, hoping to maybe interfere with early voting in the county. So we're seeing a lot of stuff trying not to really impact the vote, but maybe impact when people can vote. So, for example, launching a ransomware attack on a voter database may not allow the county to do early voting for a day or two as they try to retrieve that database or do backup and restore, meaning all those people in the lines have to come back. Some of those people may not come back and cast their ballot. And as such, voter turnout gets lower, and that helps create more division in our nation. Understand that our opponents, our adversaries, that's what they're trying to sow. That's the division they're trying to create. And so this week, we're going to be sharing tips that you can share with your friends and family who are not cybersecurity experts in order to really build that out. That's it for our practitioner brief today. Be informed, folks. Go out and vote. Exercise your right to vote and make a change in our nation. We'll be back with more tomorrow. Until then, stay healthy and stay cyber safe.
We love feedback, so make sure to connect with us on social media and to our podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform.